Right, and joining in this afternoon, we have Harshvardhan Roongta of Roongta Securities, who will be answering all our mutual fund queries. Hi Harsh, good afternoon. Good to see you in again. And our first query comes in from Hemant Kumar. He's on the line with us from Bengaluru. Hemant, hi, good afternoon. What's your question?
Hi Sumara, good afternoon. I've been investing on the 5 funds which I've shared from the last 2 years. I'm a long-term investor and will be investing for another 8 to 10 years. So I just wanted to know whether these funds are good for long-term, or do I need to switch to some other funds?
Okay, so you're investing currently in the Mirae Asset Emerging Blue Chip, SBI Blue Chip, Kotak Standard Multi-Cap, HDFC Mid-Cap Opportunities and the Aditya Birla Equity Fund, and you've chosen the growth option in all of these. Now, as I understand, none of these are direct plans, right? These are regular investments that you have.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And what is the quantum that you hope to accumulate at the end of these 10, 12 years?
20 lakhs around.
Okay, and currently you're investing 2,000 in all of these 5 together, am I right?
Yes.
Not
I'm
individually.
2,000 as of now. I'm okay to increase the amount as well.
Okay, well, if you're okay to increase the amount, that's the first thing you should do. I'm not going to dispute that. But Harsh, on the mix of funds itself, do you think any sort of changes are required? And given that he's investing, 2,000 right now, he's going to scale it up by how much ever he does. Is 20 lakhs realistic at the end of 10 years?
Well, Sumera, firstly, looking at the portfolio, well, of course, I mean, he's very well diversified. The good part is that, Hemant, you have just 5 funds and you're investing 2,000. So you have a mid cap, you have multi caps. So I think you're doing fine. I don't think from an existing portfolio per se, you need to make any such changes. Now, with regards to you wishing to invest more going further, well, I would recommend that you can invest a higher amount in the same schemes. Do not even look at it, adding more schemes to your portfolio. I think you're doing fine. You have a good large cap, you have 2 mid caps, and you have 2 multi caps. So increasing that amount, please flush it inside the same scheme and not take another scheme and just add up for the sake of it. With regards to investing 10,000 and going further, increasing some more bit of money into funds,
no,
I think it's always...
It's only 2,000 cumulatively.
No, 2,000 per month in each fund, if I'm not mistaken. That is what it looks like.
We have him with us, we'll ask him.
Hemant, what's your total investment amount?
Yeah, per each fund is 2,000, so it will be around 10,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so 10,000 per month going for about 10 years, and with an intent to increase it as your income goes up. I think 20 lakhs should not be much of an issue.
Yeah.
Well, just also one more part, I mean, whenever you plan for future, just make sure that you've incorporated inflation into that calculation. So what you believe will be available at 20 lakhs today, maybe 10 years later or 12 years later, it might not be available. Nevertheless, I'm not scaring you. All I'm trying to say is that be realistic in your approach. You've been very good so far, so just continue the same practice going further.
All right, Hemant, hope that answers your question. We have another query coming in. Srinivas Rajgopalan calls us from Chennai, holds investments in multiple funds. Okay, it's an SMS. I think Srinivas Rajgopalan's text I'm reading out. He's a professional who's 47 years old, has investments in SBI Pharma, which he stopped in May 18 after paying for 28 months, which is about 2,000 rupees a month. EBSL MNC Fund, DSP BlackRock Micro, BNP Paribas Midcap Fund, and ICICI Pru Value Discovery Fund. So what his question is, what is the utmost parameter to look at before investing in a new mutual fund scheme or before exiting a mutual fund scheme?
Mangalam, so if you look at the portfolio, I mean, let's just first analyze what he's been doing. So it more seems that he's been picking up schemes just by listening to them independently. What you need to do as an investor is to make sure that whatever scheme you add in your portfolio, you need to understand that whether it is forming a part of the overall picture. So you would have some investments in large caps, some in mid caps, some in multi caps maybe. You would have a thematic if you want to add one. So you have to take the approach in that sense and then pick one particular scheme of each category. So rather than looking the other way around, it's just you heard some good names about some schemes and just start picking it up. So with regards to the existing portfolio, I suggest that there needs to be some changes, of course. So we'll try and retain as money as possible. So you're investing 10,000 a month. So I would recommend that you continue with ICICI Value Discovery Fund. The 3,000 that you're investing, continue doing that. The Aditya Birla MNC fund, you can continue doing that as well, though it is thematic, but the approach is very nice. It's a multi-cap, so there is no restriction on investing only in large multi-caps, large MNCs or the smaller ones. So it is a multi-cap approach with investing only in multinational companies. So I think that's a good concept. You can't really go wrong with that. The third that I would recommend that you include in your portfolio is Axis Blue Chip Funds. You will have a dedicated large cap fund and in which you can invest 4,000. So in this way you will have a 10,000 allocated. You don't need to really invest in any other scheme other than these three that I have recommended for you. You had a query which mentioned like what are the parameters that you should consider. Well, there are a lot of things that you would need to keep in mind before selecting a scheme. Usually what layman investors do is just pick the scheme which shows it on top of the charts in terms of performance over the last 1 or 3 years. Well, that's not the approach, because you are in a marathon, you're running a marathon, so you don't need to really see who's running the first 100 meters fast. You really need to see who's got the potential to perform consistently over that entire period of investment. So somebody a fund manager may not be a star performer in the last 1 or 3 years, but he would be a very consistent performer over 1, 3, 5, 10 or 15 years. So you'll have to pick that person rather than the one who's been a very good 100 meters runner in that sort. So well, there are many such parameters, but of course as a layman investor you would want to evaluate it based on what eventually the performance of the fund has been. So keep a view of a consistent performer over different time frames. So I think that would be one of the parameters to select. The other parameter that you could consider is how is the fund that you are contemplating to invest into done as compared to its own benchmark, and what other funds in the same category are doing. So I think these would be starting points for you, and of course thereafter then you have the research capabilities of a fund house, the fund manager's history and all that bit.
Yeah, and Harshvardhan, you've actually raised a very important point, which is to see the behavior of a fund, right? Like you mentioned that, for example, the MNC fund that Harsh spoke about, he says this behaves like a multi-cap fund. Likewise, there are many large cap funds, which would be very overweight pharma and therefore would negate the need for a thematic fund, or, they could be overweight banking and some such. So basically, by getting one of those larger funds and getting a thematic fund, you're actually doing a disservice because you've gone way overweight than what anybody else is. So, to evaluate the behavior of a fund, the way it's managed, what it holds is also very important when you're building a portfolio, because no fund is working in isolation, it's working as a part of a combination. But we need to slip into a very quick break, but as we do that, here's a look at the top stories on Money Control Pro today. The HUL puzzle: if rural growth is in the dumps, then why are earnings shining, and what should investors do? Another headline today: how do Indian government finances compare with others in the region? And the focus today is on DMart, the Q2 FY20 earnings, decent show in tough times. And for more information, you can check out the Money Control website or the mobile app. Hi, welcome back. The market is still holding up with a decent amount of gains, and of course it's the banking stock seeing a big move higher. But in our studio we have Harshvardhan Rungta, who's advising all of our mutual fund callers. And the next query comes in from Gautam Gupta, who's written to us from Guwahati. So he says he wants to invest 10,000 rupees per month for about 15 years and wants recommendations on where and how to invest. He says he's a medium to high risk profile person. And Harsh, this is pretty much like a blank check, right? He says he's medium to high risk profile. He has a very long-term horizon, which is 15 years. The amount to be invested is also decent, which is 10,000 a month. This is almost too good to be true, right? And an investor, one wonders that at 45, why he's waited so long to invest.
Absolutely, and in fact, our interaction with individuals has been that they either underestimate their own risk profile or overestimate it in any case. So nevertheless, what I would recommend for Gautam is a combination of a large cap, a mid cap and a hybrid fund, because he says he's medium to high risk. So we'll respect that part. And so you can invest your 10,000 rupees in such a way that 3,000 rupees get invested in Axis Blue Chip, another 3,000 gets invested in Kotak Standard Multi-Cap, and a 4,000 gets invested in SBI Hybrid Equity Fund. So you will have one hybrid equity fund, you will have a large cap and a multi-cap in your portfolio. So you will have exposure all across. So that shouldn't be much of a problem. Review your portfolio after 2 years from now and then make changes if there is required.
All right, hope this works for Cheyenne, but meanwhile what is working for the market is that flash you can see on your screen. China confirms signing phase 1 of trade deal with the US. Remember, yesterday Wall Street took a bit of a pause owing to uncertainty over this trade deal, where China's optimism wasn't shared by the optimism that Donald Trump showed on the phase 1 of the trade deal with the United States. As a result of which, we saw a big move come by on all these metal stocks, you know, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, Hindalco, Vedanta, all these metal stocks surging as we speak, and the Nifty very close to hitting a century, almost 97 and 98 points out there. So looks like for now the deal is on, it is happening, and this time China's signed it.
Yeah, and you know, one almost didn't think one was talking about nations when you said that the optimism wasn't shared by China. It seems like you're talking about individuals, but yeah, that's
turns out to be.
Yeah, that's what it's come down to. So at least phase 1 is now done and dusted. It's been signed. Let's see how things will shape up from here, because by no means is this the entire deal. There is still a lot that remains to be done, and there's been so much back and forth.
We watched the ticker, now it's important to watch Twitter. I think Donald Trump's tweet something we'll be watching out for.
Yeah.
But whatever it's worth, the Nifty is at 11,450. Maybe bulls will raise their bat right now, because that century has taken place, 104 points, and there were a fair amount of shorts in the system over the last couple of trading sessions. The FIIs are 63% long, 63% short on the index, so every successive up move would perhaps lead to only some more short covering. So that is something we'll definitely watch out for. The mid-cap index to higher by almost 50 odd points. We have another query right now with us. We have we do have a query coming in from
Cheyenne Mukherjee.
Cheyenne Mukherjee, all right.
Written to us from Hyderabad. So he's did you get it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
He's written to us from Hyderabad, has investments in multiple funds, wants recommendation on few other funds. His goal is wealth creation over 10 years. He's 29 years old, IT professional. I have a lot of IT professionals writing to us today. He is an employee of a PSU, PSU IT professional, ABSL Frontline Equity Fund, HDFC Mid-Cap Opportunities Fund, Principal Emerging Blue Chip Fund. He has these three funds through SIPs, 5,000 every month. What would you suggest?
Yeah, and he wants a recommendation to invest in another two funds, so which is fine, which isn't much of an issue, because you have 3 funds in your portfolio currently. So just to make the entire portfolio look complete and have all kind of different category of funds in your portfolio, I would recommend these two schemes which you can add into your portfolio. The first one is IDFC Nifty Fund. It's a passively managed index fund, so you'll have a large cap scheme in your portfolio. And the other is again a multi-cap SBI Magnum multi-cap fund. So you can put these two schemes in your portfolio in addition to the 3 that you already have. And going further, again I'll repeat myself that please do not have more than 5 or 6 schemes in your portfolio. And in case you wish to increase your investments as well, I mean, just make sure that you put it into the same schemes rather than adding something new just for the sake of it.
Harsh, I just have a follow-up question. At some point we advise investors that don't opt for schemes which are very large in nature, where the assets are very large. What's the take on schemes that are a little too tiny maybe for an investor who just has 2 or 3 funds that he's invested in?
So the size of the assets that a scheme particularly manage has impact on 2 parts. One is the costs. Because as per the SEBI regulations right now, if you're managing a higher AUM, the cost needs to come down, and that has to directly be translate into lower cost to the scheme, so to the investor. So that is first advantage. The other element is what you need to evaluate is if a scheme is managing say 30,000 crores, does the fund manager have that many ideas to deploy that money? So if you're looking at investing in a large cap fund or a multi-cap fund which has a 30,000 crore AUM, I don't think there's difficulty in deploying that kind of money, because you're looking at a market capitalization.
I'm talking about funds which are say like 2,000-3,000 crores.
Yeah, so now look at the other way around. So if you're looking at a scheme which has got a lower AUM and so it's a small scheme as of now. So cost part of course will be slightly higher, but if you believe into the fund manager and the capabilities of the fund house, then I don't think the size of the scheme, the fund should make a difference into that, unless of course you have a better idea with a larger AUM. Why would you not want to explore?
No, the only reason being that given all the news flow over the last 1 year, I was wondering if a scheme that small could actually come under redemption pressure, and therefore if something was to, not to say that there is anything wrong currently, but should there be one investment also that goes wrong or something? I mean, is that a realistic problem for investors?
Yes, of course. In fact, it is very prevalent and very applicable. What you're referring to would be in debt funds. I mean, if you have exposure, which
so hence, what is the equivalent for an equity fund?
Yeah, so equity fund, again, you will have to see what is the exposure per sector or per company. So if the exposure is large, so if you have somebody who's investing, who has a 2,000 crore AUM and they're investing about 10% in a particular company, then of course you will not want to invest into it, because that's a huge exposure. And any negative information or any development in that one particular company will erode the NAV considerably. So you'll have to see what is the allocation per sector within that diversified fund, if it is, and what is the allocation to one particular company. So you will have typically 3 to 4% being invested in a particular company, but that cannot go to 10%, and then if it's a small AUM, it has a huge impact. So there is where this mixture, and that is where I was referring to, what's the fund house pedigree, what have they done, how have they diversified. Unfortunately, from a layman investor point of view, you would not go into that many details. You'll have to rely on somebody who's from this industry and has been tracking it. So that's, I think, what
hence the need for an advisor.
Yeah.
No, but I take your point, because a lot of the smaller AMCs have been doing exceedingly well, but I guess that's where the need comes in to differentiate between the ones who are doing very well and therefore are on track to a better future with better prospects than other than, I guess that line is
absolutely. So there is no one answer to it, saying that the larger AMCs are better equipped to do this. I don't think that's a fair conclusion to draw. What it only simply says that even if a smaller fund house as of now has a small AUM, suppose has a 20 or 30,000
are they managing it well?
Absolutely. So how well diversified are they? So if there is a 2,000 crore AUM scheme which is investing 10% in a particular company, then you need to be worried. And on the contrary, if there's a 20,000 crores worth of a scheme investing just 3% in a scheme, it's fine. Though the quantum and absolute terms will be much larger, 3% or 20,000 and 10%.
All right, Harsh, thanks a lot for that, joining us and helping all our viewers with their queries and explaining a lot of concepts to us as well. Meanwhile, for the markets looking very, very good, we had some flash coming in on JSW Steel that they've repaid debt worth around 1,200 odd crores, and that's a positive for them, because as of last quarter, their net debt to EBITDA was close to around 3